After canceling the UK premiere, Disney has decided to scale back the Snow White Hollywood premiere amid the Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot controversies. And no, I'm not making this up. I'm also not pulling this from a site like Cosmic Book News or We Got This Covered. This is coming from Variety. This is coming from one of the Hollywood trades. This article titled Disney Scales Back Snow White Hollywood Premiere Amid Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot Controversies. Disney is hosting a Hollywood premiere of Snow White on March 15th, 2025, but the studio won't be rolling out a robust red carpet like it usually does. The afternoon festivities will include a pre-party and screening at the El Capitan Theater with titular star Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot, I don't know how to pronounce her name, who plays the Evil Queen, expected to attend. However, the red carpet will not include the dozens of media outlets usually invited by Disney to interview the cast and creatives at its premieres. Instead, coverage will be limited to photographers and a house crew. The studio did not comment for this story, but the scaled-back plans come amid controversies surrounding the Mark Webb-directed film, which hits theaters March 21st, 2025. And now some people are going to be looking at this and are going to be taken aback and are going to, falsely claim victory over this, that, oh, this is Disney's admission that Snow White is bad and blah, 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 blah. I don't think so. I don't think it's Disney admitting that Snow White is going to be a failure. I think Disney looked at the situation optically and just realized that given all of the controversies surrounding Snow White, going all the way back to its inception, right, we could argue pointless live-action remake, not casting dwarf actors to play the dwarves, the leaked set photos, Rachel Zegler going on and on about how it's not 1937 anymore, and Snow White was basically stalked by the prince, and blah, 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 all that shit that she said to Variety back in 2022. The fact that you have, Rachel Zegler is pro-Palestine while Gal Gadot is pro-Israel during that conflict. Again, you have all of these different controversies coming at so many different sides that at this point it's actually better if no one speaks on it and they just handle it internally, because otherwise what would happen at the red carpet premiere is, how do you know that you're not going to get another Variety to get to basically incite a headline like when they got when they basically goaded Rachel Zegler to basically go on and on and on about how, Snow White's not going to be rescued, how she's not going to be rescued by the prince, and the prince basically stalked her. It was great headlines, great sensational headlines. It didn't really do much to help their adaptation of Snow White, but I've already brought this up in my video regarding why Snow White will actually be a success for Disney down the line, is because of all that controversy. And the second that Snow White hits Disney Plus, people are going to tune in, and they're going to see, well, is the movie as bad as everyone makes it out to be? And I didn't say this in the video at the time, and I do regret it. But the same thing happened with Solo, a Star Wars story. After The Last Jedi came out and legitimately split the fan base, there was a call to boycott Solo, a Star Wars story. Now we can sit here and debate all day long whether or not boycotts truly work, but Solo, a Star Wars story, was the first Star Wars movie to bomb. Then it released to streaming and home video, and everyone was saying that, yeah, Solo really wasn't that bad of a movie. The only reason it failed as badly as it did is because The Last Jedi genuinely split the fan base, and that really was it. But the other issue with Disney banking on controversy for Snow White's success is that there needs to be a lot more to the movie than just controversy. If the movie is controversial, just for the sake of controversy, then most people are only going to tune in once out of just sheer curiosity and never watch the movie again. Right, versus movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Cannibal Holocaust. Yes, those movies were highly controversial when they originally came out, and in the case of Cannibal Holocaust, still is. But both of those movies do have do have that thing that keeps audiences coming back to the movie. They're both still very well made movies when you get it down to brass tacks. Now, if you're asking a lot of people, now if you're asking people of my generation, I'm pushing 30. Wow, I almost forgot my age. I'm 28 going on 29 now. If you ask most people my age will tell you that, the 1974, the classic Texas Chainsaw Massacre doesn't really hold up, and that the 2003 remake is a lot better. I'm actually someone in that camp. I think that the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is much better. But still, do you think that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre would have survived for 50 plus years had it just been a controversial film and that was it? Would Cannibal Holocaust have survived 40 plus years, since the early 80s when that came out? I think Cannibal Holocaust came out in 1980. Would it have survived 45 plus years had it just been a controversial film for the sake of controversy? And that's the issue that is plaguing Snow White, is that, yes, while the controversy will get people to watch the movie initially, is there going to be anything beyond the initial controversy? Or is everyone going to basically just agree that it's a pointless remake of a beloved animated classic? Time will only tell in regard to that question. I'm not going to answer it right now, because as I said, time will only tell. But anyway, getting back to it, because I did tangent for a while. For Disney scaling back the Snow White premiere, I think it goes back to, and I'll end off the video with this because I know I'm dragging this out longer than probably I need to go, is optically, Disney is only scaling this back because there are so many controversies coming from so many different sides, that optically it's not a good thing for anyone to really talk to the press. The same thing happened with Ezra Miller when The Flash came out. And basically, Ezra Miller was being Ezra Miller. Now, there was still a red carpet premiere, and there was press still there, but Ezra Miller was pretty much kept on a leash at the premiere for The Flash back in 2023 because of all of his controversies. And a lot of people do attribute Ezra Miller's controversies as being the reason why The Flash bombed. Again, The Flash wasn't a bad movie. I think the worst aspect of The Flash was the fact that you basically had a Flash movie with no Flash villains. It was basically Michael Keaton's Batman 3. That was the worst thing about it. But still, it doesn't surprise me that Disney is scaling back the Snow White Hollywood premiere and keeping all of the press in-house, because once again, because of all the controversies, optically speaking, Snow White, Rachel Zegler's Snow White, their live action Snow White, optically they're not in a good position optically with the general public on pretty much anything regarding these controversies.